Hello and welcome to Profitable Amazing You. I am your host, Joyce Bone, and I'm super excited today to be able to share with you some strategies to help you feel more in control of your day and your business, how to build momentum in your business, how to get unstuck and figure out your next steps, as well as where to find the money. But before we get going, I thought I'd give you a little bit about my background in case you're not familiar with it. I am an author. I wrote the book Millionaire Moms, and I wrote it as a give back after I had built a business when I was 28 years old. I started at my kitchen table trying to come up with an idea, and 18 months later, I had a $50 million business that I literally was the only female in the field. As you can see, it's non-hazardous liquid waste, so not a hotbed for women to work in, but it worked out wonderful for me. At the time, I wish I had had female mentors to turn to because I didn't. So I had made a mental note. I was going to write a book one day as a give back to other women to act as a mentor and a coach, which is what that whole book is about. So Earth Care, as I mentioned, it grew very quickly. When we got to the 50 million mark, we went public on NASDAQ. At that point, we moved the company to Texas, and I opted to stay home in Georgia and left the company. And it grew to 125 million, so it was quite the adventure. So that was in 97, and then I had a few more babies and went to MBA school, did a couple other things, and then Renee Sandler, the CEO and founder of Lambtastic, asked me to come on board to help her scale her business. So we pivoted it from a boutique offering, a small company, into a mass marketing, mass retail darling. So we are now in at least 10 major retail stores, including Walmart. I have to tell you, that was very exciting to go out there to pitch and get them to buy into our company and our brand. We started with lip balm and have since expanded into a line of skincare called Skins, as well as Booty Blam, which is for babies' diaper rash, and it's also preventative. So we have gone well beyond where we started and are on track to do revenues of 10 million by the end of the year. So as you can see, I have some experience growing businesses and scaling them. That is why Kevin Harrington asked me to be on his board of advisors at the Angel Investors Network. So that's exciting for me to be a part of that. And currently what I do is I coach and I consult with business owners like yourself and help each individual founder, CEO, anyone who wants to grow their business do so using my wealth of experience as well as my contacts and network. So I love what I do, and I love that I'm able to share with you. So thank you for your time today. So let's get to it. How do you gain control over your day and over your business? Well, let's pretend that every morning when you woke up, you were given $86,400 and you were told, use this money well, use it today because it's all you're going to get. You can't carry over any balance. Well, in fact, you are given 86,400 seconds each day, and it's up to you to use them wisely and to the best of your ability and intentionally. So we're going to become time ninjas. It's going to be fun, I promise. I'm going to share with you some of the resources that I use in my day-to-day in hopes that it might help you as well. Enroll Me is a email subscription company. You can go in, doesn't cost anything, and you can see all the accounts that you're signed up for, and as well as unregister for those in a very short order. I just did it recently. I had over 100 subscriptions that within a couple of minutes they were gone. And if I was to do that individually, click unsubscribe, it would have taken forever. So I really, really like this service because it allows me to test people's lists to see if I like it, and then if I don't, I can quickly go in there and take care of business without it being a problem or having to switch my email, because I like my email address. It's easy. It's simple to remember, so I don't want to give that up. I use Time Trade for my calendar, so instead of the back and forth when you're trying to set up meetings with people, I just simply send a link, and they're able to find a time that works in their schedule that also works in mine. So that is a service I pay for. I think I pay $49 a year, and it's well worth it. saves me time, but they also have a free version too. Most of these do. Salesforce is what I use for my CRM, and it helps me keep track of phone numbers, appointments, to-dos, and all that. Upwork and Elance is something I really want you to consider taking a look at. You can go in, write up your own contracts about what you're looking for specifically, whether it's social media help, whatever it is, there's somebody to do it for you, copywriting, anything. And what we'll be talking about during our time together today is using your time wisely. So what I'd like for you to do is break down how much time, like what your hourly rate is, and we'll get more into that. We'll get deeper into that later. But once you do that, you'll see that you can easily be able to focus on your important work while unloading the unimportant or minutia or detail work to somebody else, thereby employing them while freeing up your time so that you can make bigger dollars. Dropbox is what I use in order to have my files in the cloud, share my files. It's wonderful. And what I was going to suggest is that you do a time audit on your day so you can see where you're spending your time. That'll help you gain control. If you know, okay, I spend way too much time getting on Facebook or talking on the phone with my friends or whatever holds you up. Entertaining neighbors that drop by. I was yesterday trying to raise some capital and my doorbell rang twice with people just soliciting my house to pressure wash or what have you. And you just got to learn how to nip that in the bud. So, and of course, don't answer your phone unless you are expecting a call and it's important. But if the phone just randomly rings and you're in the middle of something, don't pick it up. Let it go to voicemail, and then you can call them back. I love what Jim DeBetta, a friend of mine, it says. He is a retail expert. He says that in the morning, it's his proactive time. So he does all his important work in the morning, and then the afternoons is his reactive time. So if he has meetings or calls or emails to check, something comes up with the kids, whatever it is, it goes into the afternoon as often as possible. So that goes with your phone. Don't answer it. Return calls in the afternoon once you've gotten your important work done. And I hope you don't mind my Ryan Gosling going on there, but I thought it would be a lot more fun than that, which is boring. Ryan Gosling, boring. So on we go. We're going to talk a little bit about goal setting because to me that's the foundation of all business success. You have to know what your goals are so that you have something to work towards. Otherwise, you're just floating around, and that's not what you need. We all know how to write goals, and you can read this list here. One thing I would suggest is that they're in alignment, that you don't have one goal that kind of counteracts the other one. If you want to spend as much time with your family as possible, but yet you want to build a $100 million company, those two are in direct conflict with each other. So that is what I would suggest, that you take a look and make sure there's not anything going on there that might hold you back. So once you figure out what your goals are, like I'm going to use a financial one, and we're going to chunk backwards. So let's say your goal is to create $100,000 in income. As you can see here, the monthly goal, the weekly goal, the daily goal, all the way down to a daily goal to an hourly goal. And I think the hourly rate for 100,000, if I'm not wrong, is $43. So as I was referencing Upwork and Elance, if my goal is to make 100,000, I need to make sure that my work is at a rate of $43. So if I can hire somebody for $8 off of Upwork, then doesn't it make sense to be able to do that so that you can focus on your sales or whatever it is that allows you to make the $43 an hour? So ask yourself, always come back to center. Am I doing the most important work I can be doing right now? So you plan the work and work the plan. That sounds simple, but it's truly important to be aware of what's distracting you in the day-to-day and also know what is the important work. So as I mentioned earlier, write down your top 3 to-dos. At the beginning of the week, work those. The rest you can do after hours, over lunch breaks, what have you, but make sure that you are planning how you're going to spend your time. Now we're going to talk a little bit about business momentum. It's so important to really get going, right? You're trying to build a business. If you're listening to this webinar, you're somewhere in that process. And it's so much easier once you get momentum to keep going than to get it initially. So business momentum is basically productivity multiplied by motivation. Now, it can take a little bit of time to build up a solid momentum in your business, just like working out, but that's okay. Once you get going, you're on your way. I would like to suggest the 1000% incremental improvement formula. As you can see here, if every day you just got 1/10 of 1% better, that's a 0.5% improvement over 5 days, which if you analyze that is 26% improvement. That's significant, isn't it? And I'm not talking about major efforts here. I'm talking about things like checking your email, twice a day instead of 25 times a day. That would be an incremental improvement for you. And just be mindful of action items that can help you build that momentum. You're going to need to have your vision and stick to it. You're also going to need to break out of your comfort zone and do things that scare yourself at least once a week. That's always my rule of thumb. I really try to make my heart beat fast once a week in business, because that's when all the great stuff is happening. That's when you're picking up the phone and making that call to the person that can help get you to the next level. That's when you're filling out the loan application or submitting your pitch deck to an angel investors group. So those are the moments that really matter. You're going to have to plow through obstacles. Oh my goodness, I do this all the time. I did it this week. Whatever obstacles get thrown at you, you have to figure out a workaround. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and how often. So be like water going over a rock. If it encounters a rock, it goes over, it goes under, it goes around. It does not stop. And we are unstoppable. So make sure you're seizing opportunities when they come to you. Don't be the person that says, oh, I'm too busy for that. If an opportunity comes your way, grab it and run with it, even if it means you have to work extra hard to find the time to make it happen. It rarely happens on our schedule. Continually remind yourself of your goals. You have a mission, keep it in mind, write it down, put it in a note card, stick it in your wallet or your purse. I keep my goals on my nightstand so I can look at it right before I go to sleep and first thing in the morning. And also be sure to visualize them, because it's like a mini vacation if you think about it. If your goal is to retire in Tahiti, take 5 minutes a day and visualize yourself on the beach at Tahiti having achieved your goal. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It feels good when you're doing it. It programs your brain to think that way. It's all good. So make sure you're doing it. And then look for positives. Pessimism and dissatisfaction have no place in growth and success. It's so easy to go all grumpy cat and see the negative side of life, and when there is just as much to be grateful for. So train yourself. You can put a rubber band around your wrist and pop it anytime you find yourself having a negative thought. You can start training yourself to actually get out of that loop. I also suggest finding outside inspiration, because let's face it, in your day-to-day, you kind of get tunnel vision. Find people that just amaze you through books, conferences, whatever, seminars. Find people who you really admire and study them and use them for outside inspiration. And then as you build success, build upon it. Salespeople know, it's commonly known that if you make a sale, you should immediately pick up the phone and call somebody else, because that energy is contagious and people can actually feel it. So if you have some type of success, make sure you take another step forward. And in saying that, also assess yourself. Step back from time to time. Maybe it's weekly, maybe it's monthly, quarterly, I don't know. For me, it seems like quarterly. I assess, what have I completed? What have I done? Where am I going? How am I doing? Just ask yourself these questions so that you don't just get caught up working in your business, because you want to work on your business and you want to work on yourself as well, because it's not all about work. It's about who you become as a human being. And that's why I love entrepreneurs so much. They just they become so much more by virtue of the obstacles and the challenges that they overcome in growing their business and providing a valuable service to people. So that is why my heart is with entrepreneurs. And then I would suggest to you that you hook to a speeding train. So once you get momentum going, you'll be unstoppable. And I always look for opportunities to work with other people that are also unstoppable. Just to give you an example, say there's a nonprofit that would be complementary to your business. There's nothing wrong with approaching them and saying, hey, would you be willing to promote my company through your email list or on your website if I donate this, or that? Point is, there are companies out there, nonprofits, for-profit, that have renewable budgets. And if you can hook to their moving train, you'll be in a very good position. Now we're going to talk about money. Everybody needs it, right? Everybody wants it. And certainly it's the lifeblood of business. So, we're going to talk about different ways. I'm going to start first, though, with just self-funding. Everybody knows what self-funding is. That's when you're pulling out your wallet, right? So you're going to have to finance your business through your savings, cash from a job that you're working while you're building your business on the side. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people think they have to dive 100% in. Sarah Blakely from Spanx, she built her Spanx empire on the side until she was certain she had something going on there. And she's not the only one. Customers are the best kind of cash because you're proving that your product or service has value if you can sell your customers and get the cash from them. So I had my very, 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 very first business ever was cash collections. I did collections for the environmental industry, and I put myself in business by going out and getting a contract. That was the first thing I did before I went out and created logos or business head or bought computers or anything like that. I went and got a contract, and I was in business. So I used my customers to finance my business needs. That is really the best way to go if you can do it. Other ways, equity line, retirement funds, credit cards. Because the reason why I bring all this up is if you're going to your friends and family for loans or equity or gifts, if you're going to them, you better have skin in the game, right? There is no free lunch, and you need to make sure that you are working from a place of sincerity and sound business planning before you start trying to get money from other people. So, speaking of friends and family, you need to treat that, if you go that route, which most people do. I read a statistic recently, it was 65% of money comes from friends and family, which I found astounding. If and when you go that route, make sure you treat it professionally, write everything out, help them understand there is no guarantee of return, because you're going to be sitting at the Thanksgiving table and seeing them at Christmas. So it can get really uncomfortable if you screw people over. So don't do it. And I know, and when I say that, I say it half jokingly because sometimes things don't work out and you did your very best and it didn't work out for your family or friends either. So if you treat it professionally from the get-go, at least you know that you did everything that you could to honor them. Crowdfunding, you can drive your friends and family to it. Outsiders can invest. It's fairly easy to set up. But just so you know, Kickstarter admits that only 44% of campaigns hit their funding goals. Indiegogo is another crowdfunding platform, as is EquityNet. And the difference with EquityNet is they have a monthly fee, but you get the cash that's raised no matter what. Because I know Kickstarter and I think Indiegogo, that you have to raise the entire amount before you get the funding. So I think that's interesting about EquityNet and something to look at. And then I was going to talk to you about angel funding and venture capitalists. If you're gonna work with angel funding and venture capitalists, you're going to need a pitch deck to show them how they will make money, because that's really what they want to know. They need to know how much money you need and how it's going to be used. They're going to want to know what your personal financial condition is and how much you have invested. as well as friends and family, because what they want to see from the friends and family is that you have a network of support underneath you and that you're the type of person that people believe in. So that's kind of a little litmus test for them. They also look at your ability to manage a business as well as your management bench strength. Who's your team? I know personally, I'm always looking at, I always bet on the jockey and not the horse. I always look at who's involved in deals because they're the ones that are going to make it happen. As well as when you're in front of them, they're looking at your determination, your presentation skills, your ability to negotiate, and frankly, your likability. It's important that you come across as sincere, as someone who understands what it takes to get business done. Now, a venture capitalist, you're really not going to be running into them per se until you have something that's of tremendous value. You're mostly going to be interacting with angels. And a typical angel investment is $25,000 to $30,000. But don't let that stop you. When I started EarthCare, my first investor put $1 million in because I didn't know about angel investors when I was 28 years old. So I just went and asked for $1 million. And so sometimes being naive can actually work in your favor. So for me, I've raised over $65 million, most of it for EarthCare, some of it for Lambtastic, and then other adventures I've been involved in. So with EarthCare, I did what's called the first $1 million came from my ultimate business partner and co-founder. He put that in. I put $10,000 in, which does not sound like a lot when somebody else is putting $1 million in, but it was all I had, whereas he still had plenty of millions. So I had skin in the game. I was all in, and I was ready to make it happen. And then I did what's called a private placement memorandum. That's when you sell equity to handpicked individuals or accredited investors, basically angels, right? So angels are accredited investors typically. And so when it's done online, they call it equity crowdfunding. And when you're doing it in person, I had a group of about 50 men at that meeting at Peachtree DeKalb Airport, and we called it a private placement memorandum, or PPM for short. Now, there are online, like I said, equity crowdfunding private placements through AngelList, CircleUp, and EquityNet. There are online versions of that. So we've come a long way, baby, from when I was out there raising $13 million, which I managed to raise. I about had a heart attack the whole time. I nearly fainted, but I actually did raise the money. And then down the road, I got a line of credit through Bank of America for substantial, many, many millions. I couldn't believe they lent it to me, but really it was on the strength of the business, not on my personal worth or ability to pay it back. So once your business gets up and going, they start looking at the business financials harder than your own. But you are expected, if you get a loan, they're looking at you to have plenty of collateral, as well as good credit and all those other things. But for those of you who might not have all that, the beauty of where we're at today in society is there are so many alternatives. Some other online platforms to research is Biz2Credit, Funding Circle, and Lending Club. They provide loans. So a lot of investors don't know about these, so you're not competing. The cons with the loans online are they're typically pretty high, and they have a lot of extras tacked on there, like 5% of your ongoing revenue, which I don't like personally. Another option that I have personally seen executed is third-party loan guarantees. That's when an entrepreneur teams up with a private investor to get a bank loan, and then that private investor personally guarantees it. In return for doing so, that angel or accredited investor gets equity in the business. So the person that's picking up the equity is using their personal balance sheet to earn equity and not having to write a check. The bank gets more comfortable and gets to do the small business lending, and the entrepreneur gets access to the capital with minimal dilutions, but it also rewards the person personally guaranteeing it, putting their neck on the line with equity. So it kind of helps the loan bank make loans they might otherwise be leery of making. And just know that you'll have to give up equity to this person, but I've seen it done successfully. Of course, you can get money from banks, hopefully. They're looking for capital, credit, character, collateral. So generally collateral being enough assets to cover 1 to 2 times the loan amount. They're going to want to see your written business plan, and they're going to expect you to make a 10 to 30% investment of your own money of the loan amount, as well as personally guarantee it. Now, there are SBA loans out there. You can go to SBA.gov and read up on it. If this is something that you're thinking of, I would suggest that you get familiar with the requirements, including timelines. I know in one situation where the company had been in business too long to qualify as a startup, and they just could not get an SBA loan. So it pays to know what the requirements are for the particular track of raising money that you're interested in. Get familiar with it well in advance of needing it. Microloans, as I kind of touched on, is an excellent source of funding. They're typically offered by nonprofit agencies, and they're small loans from $2,500 to $100,000 for businesses that won't qualify for traditional loans or other investments. Kiva Zip Loan harnesses the power of, or aspects of crowdfunding. They have a very short and simple application. They have you invite your friends and family to participate, and you can donate as little as $5. But the key to this is if Kiva sees that there's a high level of social engagement, they will then open the door to 1 million lenders worldwide, which is helpful. And I've heard of people being funded as quickly as 48 hours by them. Action USA is a small business loan from $500 to $50,000, and they have competitive rates and flexible terms. And it's unique in that it offers loans to true startups that have been in business for only 6 months. So as I'm mentioning here, there's just a little bit of everything out there for whatever stage you're in. Opportunity Fund is a small business loan to low-income entrepreneurs who don't qualify for traditional bank loans, and those range from $2,600 to $100,000 with fixed interest rates from 8.5% up. Now, Cabbage is gaining in popularity for delivering immediate short-term financial loans to support entrepreneurs. And think of Cabbage as a cash advance. The application only takes about 10 minutes. You get the cash quickly if you qualify, but the interest rates are higher. It's a great solution if you have an unexpected purchase order from a major retailer come your way and you need cash quickly for a production run, so that you know that you're going to be paid by the retailer in time to pay off that loan quickly too. So the Lending Club, they've issued more than $2 billion in loans to thousands of borrowers. Prosper.com has issued $200 million plus. So how those work is you choose a loan amount, the state that the loan state what the loan's going to be used for, and then you post a loan listing. Investors then review and invest in listings that meet their criteria. Now, the investors receive a portion of those payments directly into their accounts, and you need to have good credit to participate, because that's all the investors have to gauge on. They won't know you personally, and they'll look at your credit rating to establish credibility. And here's one that most people never think of that I have seen used successfully is CPAs. CPAs are a great source for finding money. They have multiple clients. They know how much money those clients have. They also know the client's, ability to take a risk, appetite for risk. So that's kind of a sneaky backdoor way to do it. You can reach out to all the CPAs in your area with your business plan and say, do you have any clients that might be interested in this? Or maybe attend CPA associations and get to know them and view them as another source of funding your business. So that was a lot, right? So just get on there, start doing your Google research to find out whatever stage you're in, there's going to be something in there, and start reading up in advance of when you need it. That's the key to it, because you don't want to get caught. Speaking of caught, help, I'm stuck. What are you going to do if you get stuck? Well, the first thing you do is you don't panic. Okay, so the fight or flight kicks in, zapping your mental and physical energy. I had this experience just this week when my webinar did not work, and it just zapped me of my energy, and I didn't feel like doing anything else the rest of the day. I had to take my son to the doctor, so I had to keep moving. But if you can take some deep breathing, that really helps. Break out pen and paper, pour all of your stuckness onto that paper, and then cross out anything that you can't control. And then referencing the $100,000 income goal from earlier, let's use that as an example. Now, you cannot control whether people purchase your product or not, right? That's up to the individual. But what you can control is the marketing actions that go into promoting your business. So that's what I'm trying to get you to think through here is when you're writing pen and papers, like what can you control? Have you done everything possible? Sometimes it helps to hit the pause button. And if you can't identify the action steps that will get you unstuck, then do the opposite. Give yourself some space, some breathing room, and then start asking yourself some questions. Assess what's holding you back with some quality questioning. And things like, if I knew a simple solution, what would it be? What have I not thought of yet? And then you can always ask yourself the why question. Why do you think you're stuck? Is there something going deeper on here? Something that you're just not really or haven't been really willing to acknowledge? So in order to get unstuck, you have to be clear on what the real problem is at hand. Be real with yourself. Are you in the right work? Are you living life through the lens of should? What do you really want with your life and your business? And why don't you have it already? I like to resort to zero-based thinking. It's a question that I ask myself at the beginning of every year, and it kind of helps guide what some of my goals are going to be. What would I have not gotten into if I knew then what I know now? And then if you have an answer, like, I would not have bought that rental house, well, then go and sell that rental house. Stop whatever that activity is. Drop the relationship, whatever the situation is, sell the house, divest of whatever's holding you back as quickly as possible. There's an accounting term called sunk cost. A lot of times we have difficulty letting go because you think, oh my gosh, I have spent so much time, so much energy, so much money. I can't let this go. But sometimes you just have to admit you've got some sunk cost. Snip the cord and keep it moving. Sometimes when you're stuck, it helps to seek outside counsel. That's why coaches like myself are really valuable, because we can give you an outside perspective that you yourself can't get clear on sometimes, or even those who love you the most may be too close to see. So I suggest that I work with coaches. I adore working with coaches. But let's say you don't really have a budget for that. You can go and talk through the SBA. They have SCORE, which is retired executives that donate their time to help entrepreneurs grow their businesses. So that's a fantastic resource, as well as the SBDC. So the Small Business Development, they help in a myriad of ways. They typically are hosted by local universities. Kennesaw State University, where I graduated, they have an office there. I've spoken for different SBDCs before, and they're wonderful. They help entrepreneurs remain competitive in a complex marketplace. They offer free business consulting and low-cost training on business plan development, manufacturing assistance, financial packaging, lending assistance, exporting, importing, you name it. I wholeheartedly suggest that you find where your local SBDC is. You reach out to them. They are so nice that they're there to help. That's their whole job. And then mentors, and I touched on it earlier. Live mentors are great, but you can't always get the person that you want, but you can do so virtually. You can listen to TED Talks. You can go to the library. You can listen to MP3s while you're driving. Find that one or two people. I find that if I have too many, it becomes overwhelming and distracting to me. So I like to pick one or two people for whatever phase of life I'm in or whatever stage in my business, and study them and tune out the rest. And Also, go somewhere for a different perspective if you're stuck. Do something, just mix up your day. If you're always in your office, go somewhere else. Go climb a mountain. Do something that's just completely different to kind of let some outside influence come in. I know working from home that sometimes I can just get into this like zone where I could stay in my house all week. And then I go out and I'm like, wow, this is wonderful. All these influences and impulses. So I wholeheartedly suggest that, just changing up the scenery. Because just remember that habit's a cable. We weave a thread every day until at last we cannot break it. That is a horseman quote, and it is truth. So once you get into your patterns, they're really hard to break. But in order to continue to grow, and as entrepreneurs, that's one of our best traits is we're always learning, we're always growing. So don't, the only difference between a rut and a grave is how deep the hole is. So don't get in ruts. I would also wholeheartedly suggest that you stop overcommitting yourself. Every yes that you agree to is time away from your core objective. So make sure it's worth it. It's so easy to let other people run your schedule. I would suggest that you carve out some time to think. And when you decide to take that seriously, put it on your calendar, because what goes on the calendar gets done. So try it. Try it for a week. Everything that I'm suggesting here, like don't check your email except a couple of times a day. Carve out time on your calendar. Try it for a business week, 5 days. See how it feels. If it works, great. If not, quit doing it. But just try to, those incremental improvements is what we're aiming for. 1/10 of 1% is 0.5% a week. And it really does build your momentum. It really is the difference between people who get a lot done and accomplish a lot with their lives and those that wonder how we did it. So for me, when I want to take that 30-minute break, I head down to my backyard and I sit by the river, and I'll leave the phone in the house in order to resist distraction. I don't know about you, but if my phone's near my hand, I'm going to be checking something, whether it's my email or Facebook. So I just leave it in the house. I've missed a couple of cool pictures with some egrets and river otters, but that's okay. Sometimes you just got to remember the picture with your memory in your eyes, not your phone and your camera. So basically, probably the most important thing is to keep your perspective straight. We have no problems as compared to the rest of the world. I know that I have to use mindfulness to stay focused on drawing good to myself, because what you focus on, you attract. I mean, how many times have you heard on the highway someone's got hit changing a tire, or a policeman got hit? Because people look what's on the side of the road, and then their car goes that way and ends up hitting. It's just the way our brain, our subconscious operates. Whatever we tell it, it takes us at our word. So focus on what you want to attract. Keep your perspective straight. I know terrible things happen to us. I've had terrible things happen to me. And I remember one time I was bemoaning to a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, and she said, "You know what, Joyce? Yeah, that sucks. That really is terrible. But you see that person over there and that person over there?" She's pointing out some people to me. And she told me some stories about their life. And I was like, "Oh, that's even worse. I have it pretty good." So it's all what you decide to put the emphasis on. You can always look for the dark, or you can look for the light. And I really, I encourage you to look to the light. So now we're going to talk about, how to figure out your next steps. I am a fan of the 21-day program. So if you're trying to develop a new habit or a new project, dedicate 3 weeks to it, because it takes 3 weeks for something to become a habit. I don't know if you've ever read The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin, but she created plans around becoming more happy. And hers was a year long. And every month she focused on growing a aspect of her life to be more happy. You could do that with decluttering your house. You could say January is going to be closet month. February is going to be drawer month, whatever. You get the point. Spend more time with my family. You could break it down. January, I'm going to spend more time with this child, and February, that child, and March will be family activities. You can just create either 21 days or a whole year. Just make a whole theme out of it. So I want you to raise your hand in the air. This is just a little experiment we're going to do. Just takes a second, and it just kind of shows you a little something. So I want you to raise your hand in the air. Okay, nobody's looking at you. You did it, right? I'm trusting that you're doing it. I have my hand in the air. So now I want you to think about raising your hand higher. Can you do it? Yes, you can. I bet you got at least another 6 inches once I asked you to raise your hand higher. Why do we do that? Because we hold back. We were trained early to hold a little bit back for ourselves because we always knew our coaches and our teachers and our parents, they were always going to want something more out of us. And almost like a self-preservation, we all hold something back. But if you really want to grow your business to the next level and just have all the business momentum you can imagine, you have to fully commit. You have to put 100% into it. You can't hold back. Think about times when you're really pumped up. That's how I want to get you with your business. I want you to be 100% committed because that's when all the exciting action happens. That's when the universe starts moving things out of our way to make things happen when we say, this is my path, this is what's going to happen. So I would suggest to figure out your next steps is, again, focus on the number one thing that will help drive your business. Usually that's what's going to make the cash register ring, but not always. But it's the old 80-20 rule. 80% of your results are from 20% of your actions. And then ask yourself, what one skill would have the greatest impact on my income over the course of the next 5 years in order to make sure that you're focusing on growing in the right direction. And then, to pull it all together, we have all kinds of business owners all on this call at various stages of development. So it's hard to give exact information, but I would tell you to put together a business plan if you don't have one. I know that's a bummer and you don't want to hear it, but wrap your head around your business. A business plan forces you to wrap your head around it. It forces you to look at the marketing and the operations and the funding. Even if you're never going to raise money, it just helps you to think through. You're investing huge amounts of your time and your financial resources. So of course you're going to want to have a plan. And the good news for you writing phobics is local universities will often write the plan for you. That's what I did with MillionaireMoms.com. I had MBA students actually write the plan for me, and I guided them. It was wonderful. Financial metrics are another way to pull it all together. Figure out what's important for your business, what numbers. You track your income, track your expenses, your net profit being what's left after you're paying all the bills. Figure that out weekly, month to date, year to date. And then create themes for your year. I like to do it quarterly because especially at the beginning of the year. So let's say you're starting a new business. You call first quarter your build quarter. You're going to be laying the groundwork, the foundation for your business. And then say your second quarter is you're testing what you've put in place to see what works. And you figure that out. Third quarter could be execute, and you're just going balls to the wall, executing like crazy on everything that you've built in the first few quarters. And then say fourth quarter is being time for feedback and adjustment so that you can get after it again. And, I leave you with the idea, all roads lead to Rome. What is it that you do better than anyone else? What valuable products or services do you provide to others? Do more of that. If you want to pull it all together, do more of that, because most people think they have a cash problem when the reality is they have a marketing problem. Become excellent at sales and marketing, and your life will become so much easier if you learn how to market and sell your business offerings to others. And then finally, I'd like you to be kind to yourself. And remember, it takes time. It takes time to learn the real needs and motivations of your market, to understand buying behaviors of your customers, to hire and develop a coordinated leadership team, to generate leads, to build a sales pipeline, to work a prospect through the sales cycle, to get your pricing and deal structure right, to close the deal, to deliver the product, and to collect the money. Okay, so that's a lot of work. And I want you to be good to yourself, be kind to yourself. because you really can be profitable and you are amazing. So we covered a lot of ground today. How to feel more in control of your day and your business, how to build a momentum, how to get unstuck, how to figure out your next steps, where to find the money. We did a lot. Just remember, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. The great tennis ace Arthur Ashe said that, and I think it bears repeating. So now, if you would like to work with me, I offer weekly group coaching. I also offer all-day group strategy sessions once a month, get together with a small group of people and talk through all your business needs. And I also have private coaching. So if you're interested in hearing any more about those, you can email me at joycebone@gmail.com. So again, thank you for your time today. It has been wonderful sharing this with you. I hope you got a lot out of it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great day. Thank you.